You're listening to A View from the Cheap Seats Wrestling Podcast. Thank you everyone for coming to this edition of View from the Cheap Seats. Unfortunately, I'm starting things off on a bit of a sour note. Over the weekend, Ring of Honor actually came to my hometown. Yes, they did. They had one of their bigger shows, not biggest shows, but bigger shows in Glory by Honor 13. Yeah, I can't believe there's been 13 of these events, can you? But, so I went there, hung out with a buddy of mine while I was there, and pretty much enjoyed the show. But what saddens me, though, is one of the match results. Like, legit saddened me. The card actually was pretty alright, but it was topped off with 3 championship matches. Which is something that you only really get to see in, like, pay-per-views or some of their really big shows. You know, they had the World Tag Team Championship, they had the TV Championship, and the World Championship. And I looked forward to all 3 of them, but the really one I looked forward to was, believe it or not, the TV Championship of Jay Lethal versus R.D. Evans. It was TV title versus the New Streak. For those unfamiliar with the New Streak, R.D. Evans has been going around, very a la Goldberg, basically, and collecting the massive amounts of wins. About 174, I believe, was the count by the time it got to this show. And, of course, much like the fact that it's sort of playing off on Goldberg, some of those wins are kind of sketchy, but we'll let that slide. In any case, I just like R.D. Evans as a person in general. He's a great guy, and a fantastic worker. And I liked how the match was sort of set up, because R.D. Evans is he's sort of a comedy character and no one sort of takes him seriously. So Jay Lethal didn't take him seriously at the start of the match and, you know, got surprised very, very early on. And you had some shenanigans on the outside. The reason I'm sad is because R.D. Evans, despite all like going for him here, he lost. And the New Streak ended. And he lost in some of he didn't like lose like, 1, 2, 3, it's over. I'm like, we're all sad. No, he lost because his running crew, Moose, turned on him. Actually, no, it was 173. I added a win somewhere. So, yeah, 173-1 was the end of the New Streak. Because Moose, his big running mate, turned on him, speared him, and Jay Lethal got the win for it. And I was actually legit sad. I was actually a little legit upset about that. I was, flipping imaginary tables and what have you, just because I really thought like having this whole streak thing work in R.D. Evans' favor is that a great sort of next step would be to have him win the TV title, and then you can play it off for another several months and maybe have him challenge for the world title. Maybe he doesn't get the world title, but you can work with it a little bit more. Have his crew turn on him, and that's the thing. And I think because I haven't been following ROH a lot, mostly because I can't do it very well anymore, and I can't find their TV show to save my life. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. So I don't know all the different storylines, but like the storylines obviously changed since the last time they were in San Antonio. Because I remember the Decade being a big thing. Now with Roderick Strong, BJ Whitmer, and Jimmy Jacobs. Then I come to this show and like, well, now is BJ Whitmer and some other guy, and Roderick Strong's on the outs. So that team so his running buddies like turned on him or something. So it seems like it's old cliche. It's like, all right, here's a group of people that we set up, and now their running buddy turns on them. And here's another group of people that we've set up, and now their running buddy turns on them. And like, there's a new group called the Kingdom. That's how that's going to end. Like, they're going to do stuff, and then one of their running buddies turns on them. Probably Adam Cole. It's repetitive is what it is. Like, that's the major downside I get after I was talking with people. It's a repetitive trope they keep doing. In middle of a group, turn. And they're doing it for a tag team, too. Because what was it? Hanson was there, and his buddy Hanson is injured, so he couldn't tag with him. And Michael Elgin showed up. They didn't have a match, he just showed up. That was kind of interesting. And sort of pointing out, going like, hey, if Hanson gets singles titles, why does he need you? And sort of like teasing maybe one of them would turn on each other, which doesn't make any sense, because if he gets the singles titles and they come back as a tag team, win the tag titles, they get more money and fame. That's how that works. I never really understood. Like, I kind of understood when they do angles like this, like tag team partners, when one gets really successful and the other member gets really jealous. But at the same time, more often than not, I think having a tag team that also have winning tag team titles and then like also winning singles titles just ups them both a little bit and makes them a little bit better. And then I think as a tag team, you'd be like, yeah, we're gonna rule everything because we're awesome like that. We need a team like that wants to rule not only tag division but also singles divisions, and like support each other, kind of like that. Maybe we'll get that in the future. I don't know. Maybe that might be a dumb idea. You guys can tell me off in the comments if you want to. But, I was really upset Artie Evans didn't win. The rest of the show was actually pretty alright. They've actually had a pretty strong show, pretty strong showings every so often. The ROH had their problems, and actually technically still have their problems sometimes in management, speaking of Michael Elgin. But they seem to always put on a good show. And they put on a good show, was it last week? Yeah, it was last Saturday. And topped off the World Championship match, Jay Briscoe defending against ACH, who I'm always sort of amazed how popular ACH is. I know why he's popular after seeing him several different matches in different companies, and just how hard he works. But it's so almost surprised. They're like, all right, let's give him a world title shot. Oh, hey, okay. And unfortunately, he didn't win as well. Yeah, all the hometown guys didn't win in their hometown. I'm not sure how often that happens. Kind of leaving the crowd a little bit depressed, I feel like, when you leave. Hey, I'm cheering for my hometown guy, and he loses. Okay, I'll cheer for my other hometown guy, and he loses. I don't know how to feel. But at the same time, there were actually pretty good matches, and they set up for a final battle coming up in the later in the year, in December. Big street fight between Jay Briscoe. Well, fight without honor. Street fight. Between Jay Briscoe and Adam Cole getting sort of another rematch for the world title. That's something I also think that's a problem with ROH right now, is that while they have Jay Briscoe as their world champion, which is a good, I think he's a great wrestler, very powerful guy, like legit powerful guy. They don't have anyone else really. They have Styles every so often, but he's not on every show because he's also off in Japan with the Bullet Club. So who else could they give the title to? And I feel like their main event area is sort of just three guys. That's sort of it: Adam Cole, Jay Briscoe, and maybe AJ Styles. They also have on the card Roderick Strong, I guess. Yay. I don't dislike Roderick Strong, but he's sort of fallen by the wayside. But they also like Frank. Like I said, that Frank Kazarian. I think Christopher Daniels both returning. But so that you can add them to the main event spot if you want to. Other than that, it was all, like I said, it was a pretty good show. They're coming back in April. I'll probably check them out when they come back in April and everything like that. Now, before I go on any further, this was supposed to be sort of an all ROH show, but I couldn't really record when I could. And by the time I recorded, Raw passed. So, you know what? Screw it. Let's talk about Raw. All right, let's talk about what's going on, because they're setting up for Survivor Series, one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time, despite the fact that they no longer use the premise I really like, and that is tag team survival matches. They will have the traditional tag team survival match. I'll get to that a little bit later. But the rest of the card is very weak. It is very weak. There's a 4-corner tag team title match, which is cool, just because it's still in the idea of Survivor Series. 4-corner. Well, it's not. I don't think it's elimination. I'll check again if it's elimination. Because if it is elimination, that's pretty cool, because they're kind of keeping it with the spirit of Survivor Series. If it's a one-fall situation, then it'll probably still be fun. But it's not as cool as it could be in my mind. And the reason I say that, because the whole thing of Survivor Series is surviving. So if you want to have some sort of survival going on, that you really need and want that. But what we have now is, I'm actually checking just to make sure, see if it's elimination or not elimination. It just says Fatal 4-Way match, and when I hear Fatal 4-Way, I usually hear, one fall. One fall, that's it. So it's not elimination. It's kind of sad, but it'll probably just be as fun. And it's the entire tag team division, and this is going to sound sad when I say this, but yeah, it's the entire tag team division of Goldust and Stardust, the champions, Los Matadors, the Usos, and Miz and Mizdow. That's the tag team division in one match. Yeah. Like that sound I just made is me cringing a little bit that that's the entire tag team division. Well, Ryback's broke up over Superstars or main event. I can't remember which, because they're giving Ryback a singles push again. So I was like, so that's sort of sad. They have a couple other tag teams in NXT, and I think since the card being so weak is what it is, they should have made this sort of an open challenge kind of thing. Maybe like a tag team gauntlet. And then you can have a couple of NXT tag teams like trying to break in real quick and get tag titles. I mean, maybe they don't make it, but they get a showing at least. People get to notice them. Doesn't happen. So we're kind of sort of stuck with that. I'll give my predictions later on in my Facebook group, as I always do when I get closer to the pay-per-view, because hopefully there's going to be more matches, because right now there's not a lot of matches going on. Like I said, there's that one, and then you have the Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt, which, hey, that'd probably be a good match. And the setup for it's just been sort of promos and backstage assaults, so there hasn't been a lot going for it right now. I look forward to it. I'm hoping it will be good, and I'm hoping Dean Ambrose finally gets a win in a stinking feud he's been in. But other than that, you have oh, that's right. I'm going through right now, and the only other match they have listed for now is the Divas Championship match of AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella, and we all kind of go sigh. We go sigh because we feel like this is probably AJ Lee will probably, like I said, I'll say my predictions, but I'll give like a preview of she's probably going to lose because of Brie Bella doing something, because she's still a personal assistant. Shockingly enough, the personal assistant storyline that the Bellas are in right now has not been terrible like I thought it was going to happen. Now, maybe they're just downplaying it, which is probably what is happening. But yeah, I haven't been super like, oh God, here it comes again. No, I haven't. It's been pretty normal, like shockingly normal. Like I don't know how other normal-ish it could be. There's been not a lot of there's a couple backstage segments, but even then they're sort of forgettable. There's nothing that stood out to me that was absolutely terrible about it, so who knows what's going to happen. But no, the main reason people want to watch Survivor Series, the main reason I usually want to watch Survivor Series, is because of the tag team survival match itself. They call this one the traditional Survivor Series elimination tag match, which is 5-on-5. Which, I think, they started 5-on-5. For a couple years, they were 4-on-4 for a while. And I think that was just sort of, break up the card. But now the traditional, quote-unquote, traditional is 5-on-5. And the teams are weird. Like, just going to put it out there. The teams are kind of set up weird. Like, okay. Team Authority. Seth Rollins. Makes sense. Rusev. All right, makes sense. Kane. Okay. Makes sense. Not sure why. Whatever. Mark Henry just recently turned heel again. Okay. Kind of makes sense. Sure. Luke Harper. Huh? Luke Harper definitely shocked me when he because he made his return and he beat the crap out of Ziggler off screen and then showed up and was like, I'm a Team Blair. And so now he sort of became member of Team Authority because of that. Weird. I like Luke Harper, though, so hey, if he's getting a push, he's getting a push. Great. And he also became the Intercontinental Champion. Okay. That makes, weirdly enough, him being the Intercontinental Champion makes him like the biggest title, because the Intercontinental title is the biggest title right now since Brock Lesnar isn't wrestling. So he's now technically the top champion in the company. Take that for what you will. Unfortunately, though, Team Cena is another weird mishmash. Cena, okay. Ziggler, fine. Big Show, okay. He usually shows up once or twice. And then two really random guys of Eric Rowan, who was a team with Luke Harper just not too long ago, and Ryback. Like, what? How? Like, this feels, what this feels like? This feels like if I had a bunch of leftover action figures, and like, I'm going to do a Survivor Series match. I was like, okay, trying to figure out how to make the team here. Okay, well, you're no longer a tag team now. That works. Hey, Ryback, I just got a new figure of you. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like this very action figure sort of setup of the Survivor Series match. I have no idea if it's going to be good or not. But like, it's so odd. Like the whole thing of Team Cena, formation of his team just was so strange. And so, like they weren't sure what to do. Like when it started, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to talk to Ziggler." It's like, okay, Ziggler is getting pushed a little bit. He's trying to be a little bit stronger than he has been in the past. So they're sort of elevating him up a little bit. All right, that sort of made sense. And like, well, then I got the real American Jack Swagger. Huh? Well, then Jack Swagger got taken out by an injury. Then why did you add him to the team? Like, well, then then we got Big Show, and then we got Sheamus. I was like, oh, okay, Sheamus I like, and Big Show, okay, I'll take Big Show. And then they got turned on each other, and they fought, and then Sheamus got taken out through a table. Now Sheamus is gone. So I was like, okay, hold on. So the storyline basically is the Authority, because if the Authority loses, they get knocked out of power, which everyone's sort of treating like, oh, they're getting fired. No, they're not getting fired. They're just not going to be in charge of Raw. Like, I hate the storyline they have sort of set up. They're like, oh, they're being ousted. They're not going to be involved in the company, if they lose. No, that's not what happens. They'll still be involved with the company, just won't be on air or whatever. It's just sometimes wrestling like that. Like it's sometimes the leaps of logic that wrestling takes. It's kind of like, ugh, you don't want that. But so you lose Sheamus, and now you only have 3 guys. It's 3 versus 5, and they're setting up like, all right, who else can do it? And they were teasing with Ryback last week, but then Ryback joined Team Authority, but then he left Team Authority because they're jerks. Makes sense, I guess. And then eventually Ryback shows up for Team Cena, and it's one of those weird honesty moments on Raw when the Authority was talking to Ryback, like, hey, don't join Team Cena. Cena's no good for you. By the way, here's some of the promos Cena did to your face. And like showing John Cena being a jerk. And I was like, ooh, this is close, because this is what a lot of like the people on the internet would say. It's like, why would anyone really team with John Cena? He's kind of a jerk. Look at all the stuff he's done in the past. So it's the Authority kind of going, haha, internet, we are reading you. Which is scary when you think about it. Because now they're trying to con the internet crowd. I'm not sure how well that's going to work. Because the internet crowd just is going to hate you no matter what you do. So you have that showing up, and then it's sort of ignored. And then there was a tease at the end, because they were trying to build up all these different characters. And Eric Rowan came out, and everyone was like, what? And even myself, I was like, what? So where's this go? Because he hasn't been doing anything the last couple of weeks other than walking around. Like he said to a girl, he was pretty. Well, not he was pretty. She was pretty. And then he walked around the ring at one point at another show, and he was like, oh, she is not here. I shall leave now. And then on Monday Night Raw, he was with Grumpy Cat. And he was like, I want the cat. But he took the stuffed Grumpy Cat, not the real Grumpy Cat, and left. And we're like, all right. We're all sort of sitting there going, where the hell is this going? Apparently nowhere, because they probably dropped it and just added him to the Survivor Series match to feud with his former tag team partner. Or this is a trick. Or this is an Authority trick. Who knows? Because the Authority did troll a lot of people last night. On Monday Night Raw, because when there was only 4 guys, we're like, oh, is it going to be a 5th guy? Is it going to be a 5th guy? And then Cesaro comes out. And we're like, ooh, Cesaro's coming out. Will they just finally pull the trigger on Cesaro? No, they're not going to pull the trigger on Cesaro. He's just there to kind of troll everyone and make fun of John Cena. And then he leaves. I was like, oh, you bastards. Like that's how I sort of felt about that. It's like I want Cesaro to be successful. I think a lot of people want Cesaro to be successful, and just are a little bit upset where he is in terms of his position on the card and what he's been doing lately. Despite the fact he had a really nice match with Ryback. So he's gone, and then Ryback came out, and then big, fight back and forth, fight. And then you have, the Friday SmackDown is they're gonna. So everyone says Raw is the go-home show. It's probably Friday SmackDown is probably going to be the go-home show, because that's the one right before the pay-per-view. That's free for network. That's not $9.99, and so on and so forth. So I'll bring you my feelings and my results. The results of my feelings on the pay-per-view next week. I have my predictions coming out later on my Facebook page. And if you don't are not a fan, I haven't liked my Facebook page, check it out. I have the link in the description. Please like. I post up a lot of different stuff up there, some articles and things like that, some more thoughts and other items that I find interesting about wrestling that I go up there. I do that. I update that a little bit more than I do with the YouTube page and this podcast myself. So please like my Facebook page. Also, if you're liking my Facebook page, please like this video. Share this video with your other wrestling friends. Subscribe to me. Everything. Please, 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 please. I ask very nicely, because I'm out of time right now, and this is the end of the show. So I'd like to thank everyone here for listening to a view from the cheap seats. I'll see you next week. I want to talk about Survivor Series. Anything else seems to pop into my mind. Thank you again.